Do you ever wonder what it looks like when young people take control of their future? Well, Ethan Zellner, he's a former student of mine. I met him back when he was a sophomore in high school at William Mason High School in Cincinnati, Ohio. He was part of a cohort that I was working with, and he is killing it. We have kept in touch via LinkedIn. You guys hear me preach all the time about the power of LinkedIn, and that's how I keep in touch with him. And every time I see him post, he's doing amazing things. But what his LinkedIn posts don't show is some of the struggles behind his story. I invited Ethan on to share how he gained early clarity and confidence, and more about, since he's been in high school or out of high school and into college, how he continues to validate his path and overcome challenges. And this resiliency that he's had and this risk-taking and confidence, well, it has set him up for success. From freshman year, he has gotten opportunities that many sophomores don't even get. So Ethan's here to share his story. I think is going to inspire young people about what's possible and about digging in and getting brave and doing the work to validate their path. And for you adults that have a young person that you're supporting, whether they're a student in your classroom, whether they're your own child, is going to give you tools to support their journey without taking control of it for them. Okay, let's dive right into this great conversation. Ethan Zellner, it's been a while, and it's so exciting to do this. I love catching up with students, and I just want to say welcome to the podcast. This is a special episode to hear about a student journey, and you were in Launch Career Clarity, 4 years ago? Wild. So you're right now a sophomore at Bradley University in civil engineering. Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Are you having a good year?
It's a busy year. It's a lot. Being an engineering student is a lot at Bradley University. Just engineering in general, especially when you're in clubs, managing internships, managing, a social life, which is important at college.
Yes.
Taking 20 credit hours along with, all these other things. You have to find balance, and college is a good time to do it.
I like the idea that you're saying, like, you're not just sitting in the library all the time. You are still finding ways to have that social life, but we hear all the time engineering is grueling.
Yep.
It's tough, and it sounds like it is tough, but you are still trying to maintain that balance.
Yeah, I think having the social life is what gets you through being a engineer,
Ah,
because all of our classes are ridiculously hard, like fluid dynamics, stuff that I've never seen before that's conceptually hard. Just going with your friends and playing flag football at 9 p.m. at night. It's just something I can, like, okay, I have this quiz and then I can go play flag football. Like, that's just
yeah.
something how my brain works to say, well, I guess I'm looking forward to.
I have a question. You said you're taking 20 hours. So this is your third semester in college. You're
Yeah.
taking 20 hours. Do you have to take 20 hours to kind of to keep up, or would you be able to take a lighter load? What did you do freshman year?
So I take freshman year, I took 17 and then I took 16.
Okay.
However, I had some difficulties with calculus at my school, so it set me back a little bit. So I've been taking online. I took online classes over the summer to help catch up.
Yep.
I've just kept taking online calculus to kind of not even get back to where I was, but get ahead.
Yeah.
Because I was told I can even graduate a semester early if I wanted to, which is up for debate because I want to enjoy my 4 years of college. That's
Oh my
something
gosh.
big,
My daughter,
big.
Sydney, she graduated in April of 24, and she could have graduated a semester early. And she was like, I want to stay. Like, this is it. The real
Yep.
world's coming. And she's in the real world now. And sometimes she's like, I'm so tired, or adulting is hard. So if your family can afford to, and those that can are very fortunate to be able to do so, I say go ahead and stay in and make the most of it. So,
Yes.
and I love your honesty about, like, we always hear math is really hard, which actually, let's go back to the reason we're sitting here today. You and I have kept in touch on LinkedIn since you started our Launch Career Clarity course 4 years ago. And you didn't have a profile back then, and that's part of what we do in the class is get on there. And one of the things that delights me about you, Ethan, is you have continued. I have watched you over 4 years continue to build your network. I checked today, you have 389 connections. You had zero 4 years ago. So you're building a network. I watch you have experiences and share about them and build your network. And you're active because you saw a post I did. I went to a conference last month and I said, I really want to talk more about the role of math in students getting clear on like career clarity, right? Because what I see is a group of students who are good at math in high school, and sometimes they overestimate their math prowess and they pursue tough degrees like computer science and engineering, STEM fields, mathematics. And I hear from professors like they get here and they can't keep up. And we know that math and computer science and engineering are the most switched out of majors. And it's really because of cognitive load more than anything else, right? So when I posted about, I want to talk more about this, you piped up and said, well, I have had an interesting math experience in college. So let's talk about what that is. Because you're like, people need to hear this because it's created a complexity that you've had to navigate, right?
Yes. So to talk about my college experience first, I have taken calculus one 3 times. So I failed it the first 2 times. Our professors at Bradley University are very unique, being a small school. We cut our math funding a couple years ago, so we're kind of seeing the resultant of professors not being able to research as much. So we not necessarily get lower tier professors because these professors are still very good people. But my high school had amazing teachers. Mason High School in Cincinnati, Ohio has
Yeah, there's your
amazing
shout
math
out.
teachers. Yeah, who had amazing math teachers every year who like cared about you in a way that college professors can't. So my first semester, I took Calc 1 Bradley with 17 other credit hours, and I was in for a very rude awakening. I remember my first quiz, my first exam, I got single digit percentage. It was something
Were
like
you
I think it was
so
a
shocked?
9%. I was like, I thought I understand this. And everyone else in the class had the same experience too. Because in high school, we never had to study for math. It always
Right.
was just something that came naturally to us. We always understood 1 + 1 is equal to 2. And then we get to college and we're learning these things and they move so fast. And then you get to the exam, you're like, I got this. I don't even need to study. And you look at the exam and then the exam's just in Russian and you have no idea what's happening.
It's interesting. My post originally came out of I went to this session at the National Association for College Admissions Counseling National Conference in Columbus back in September. And there was a session about the role that calculus plays in admissions. And I said, I think the bigger topic, I mean, that's a very important topic, but I'm like, I think a bigger topic is like, how is this relating to major completion, major and career choice, right? And so you fall into that camp of like, I've got this, like a little overconfident, I guess, right?
Yeah.
That I was,
Yep.
yeah. So what have you done? I love your honesty about like, hey, the struggle's real, but you didn't change your career plans because you hit a bump in the road. So what have you done to navigate that?
Well, first of all, I want to say that taking Calc 1 3 times just means I'm 3 times better at Calc 1 than everyone else.
I love
So
that
there,
too.
so there's that. What I've done is just I haven't given up. I knew there'd be challenges with engineering. It's our degree to
Yeah.
just conceptually go with. There are people in this world who will tell you you can't do it. You're not smart enough. And for me, that just means, well, I have to try harder then.
Yeah.
Because my favorite thing in the world is to prove people wrong.
Actually,
So
I know this about you.
yeah. So I just kept going. I just kept grinding. I put in hours, I studied. And then over the summer, I decided, all right, as well with taking an internship, let's see if I can take Calc 1 again, get it over with, get it done. And so I took it along with another summer class while managing a full work schedule. And I passed it. And now we're in Calc 2. I just passed Calc 2 yesterday, actually.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
everybody. Yes.
yeah, yeah.
You will not taking Calc 2. You won't be three times better at Calc 2 than everybody else if you're only
No,
taking it
no,
once.
I know. I mean, I can take it again if I want, but I don't really want to
I
pay
don't
them.
do that.
No. So I've been taking calculus online
Okay.
through a university in New Hampshire that offers 8-week courses.
Okay.
So I have been spending 15 hours a week doing calculus because, the classes are sped up.
Yeah.
But the assignments make sense to me now, just in a way that they format it compared to a Bradley formats it. The way that they come across and they, form problems and the resources they give, and they say,
Yeah.
here's a problem. But then right here, if you're stuck, here's a video link that goes through the entire problem with different numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, I have a nine. I finished with a 94 in Calc 2, which is arguably the hardest calc class in college. So just that turnaround set, proves to me, well, I can do this.
Yeah.
My 3 times of Calc 1 means nothing anymore. And
You know what I love
ironic,
about this? I know you're going to be a fantastic engineer because of how you've problem solved this problem,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You didn't feel that your needs, and I'm sure there's other students at Bradley who their math needs are being met at the school, but the way
yes,
you learn was not being met by your university. So you went out and you found a different way to tackle a problem. This idea of math and engineering back on episode 27, I just looked it up if anybody saw me like typing. Back on episode 27 of the podcast in July of 2022, I had a dean from University of Toledo on to talk about the differences between engineering and engineering technology majors and careers, right? So there is a difference. We're not going to get into it today. We don't have time, but people can go back and listen to episode 27. I'll put it in the link to it in the show notes, or you just go to flourishcoachingco.com/027, and that will get you to where you need to be. But they actually have deconstructed Calc 1 and they sprinkle it in throughout their curriculum so that students aren't having happen to them what happened to you. And they're not the only university doing it, but I think this is a good lesson when you're looking, particularly in these really tough STEM fields, that you press into how is math being taught? Like, is it the traditional way? Do they have a different spin on it? Do I need to look like it for a different program? But I love that you solved this problem for yourself. And congrats on passing Calc 2.
thank you. I start Calc 3 in a week,
Oh
so
my gosh. So are you also going to do Calc 3 at the other university?
yep,
Okay, great. And so
I
you'll
am
be
taking all my math classes there.
okay. So you will be finished with that by the end of this semester, Calc 3.
Yes, I will have one more class I need to take
That's
for math, but
fantastic.
I will be done with through next semester with all the math I need.
So is that the highlight of your semester so far, or do you have a different highlight to share?
My highlight of the semester is I've already landed an internship for
What?
summer of 2026.
Okay. So first of all, well, tell us where it is.
It is at a company called Mauer Stutz in Peoria, Illinois.
Okay.
They are Illinois based, and they are a civil engineering firm that they do a lot of different things. However, I will be mostly focusing on the transportation aspect and helping them design things.
I love it. I mean, so that makes me go all the way back to when you were in high school and you came into our Launch Career Clarity course and you're like, I got to figure out what I want to do before I choose a college, which I always
Yep.
say for the college bound, reverse engineer, start at career, go back to major, and then go to the college piece. I remember even your college search, you were looking and applying to different places. So let's talk about that process because I remember back then, and I can't remember if you did this or not. I had suggested as one of your real world experiences that we teach about in Module 4 that maybe you reached out to somebody in the Department of Transportation. Did you do that? I can't remember. Like, how did you figure out that civil engineering was indeed what you wanted to do?
It wasn't exactly that, but ironically,
Okay.
at the same time, my high school was offering a job shadow at a civil engineering firm. And so I went to the job shadow. And then also through the course, I got put in contact with a couple of other engineering people who I was able to just talk to.
Yep.
And even through school, my biology teacher, who was a recent college graduate, new civil engineers and said, hey, I have two friends who work at one works at ODOT, one works at a private firm. If you want to see differences, I can set up meetings with you with them. So I've talked to them, and I took that career test,
Yeah, the
forget what it's
Berkman.
called.
The
Yeah, the Berkman
Berkman. Yep.
test, and it all led me back to here. And I think I always knew what I wanted to do. It's just I
Yeah.
wasn't confident enough to say, "Oh, I have to go through this hard major." I don't want to second guess myself. But I
Yep.
mean, I haven't looked back. I'm enjoying everything that I've done so far. This internship.
I remember like you, let me just, I want to brag on you again for a minute because you showed up for all of our group coaching calls, our online coaching calls where we have the group come in and I always say the college bound journey is a family journey. Your mom would come on and she would also ask questions. Like you take advantage of all of the opportunities to connect with other people. And and I do remember when the light bulb went off, you're like, I got my confirmation. So really what you did, because here's what I see a lot of schools doing. A school might, through a free platform they already have, give some sort of personality assessment that's already for free and a different tool that the school has. What's missing is this link of validation. And that's what you came in to do, right? Like, does the Berkman, which is a really great personality test, does it give a job list that says I should be an engineer? Yeah. You're like, oh, okay, more confirmation. Now let me go get real world validation through you did a job shadow, you did multiple informational interviews, you put yourself out there on LinkedIn. You get a prize for continually putting yourself out there a lot, which I love that. So, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So then you got, so I remember you were clear by the time I think 6 or 7, 8 months into our course. You were like, yep, I've got my confirmation. This is what I'm going for. And then you had time to do your college visits and stuff, right?
Yeah. So ironically, my first college visit was a little bit early. It was during the course, but it was to Rose-Hulman, which had,
Yep.
every engineering under the sun. So it really didn't matter what engineering I chose, just
Yeah.
because, you all get the same feel of, well, here are the labs for this, this, and this. But I pretty much had my mind set by the time I took the ACT, and, all sent my scores to all the schools. It all sent them for civil engineering.
Yeah.
And that was a huge stress relief of I now know what I want to do. Now where do I want to do it? Because that's arguably
Mm.
just as important as your major.
I would agree. People who start with where do I want to do it and then what do I want to do, they could end up on a campus where they're not reputable for that major or they don't even have that major, which can be a problem. But when I hear you say like it's just as important not only to know what I want to do, but also to find that home away from home, which is where I want to do it, right? But that goes back to the fact that you're like I'm striking a balance here. I might be taking 20 hours. I might have to take Calc 1 3 times, but I'm still going to go do intramural football or whatever with my friends.
Yep.
And that's where the importance of where am I going to do it is, right?
Right. And I got in contact with my high school pre-calculus teacher
Mm-hmm.
because he had my sister in his course, and he was very helpful towards my college search. He even gave me an early intro into Calc 1 when I was in pre-calc. And he said, Ethan, what do you call a doctor who failed the MCAT 7 times? A doctor, because you'll never know the difference.
That's right.
So it ultimately doesn't matter in the long run as long as you do it,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Well, okay. So I know that you came back to Cincinnati for the summer after freshman year and you had an internship, which you've already said. I've got 2 questions. First of all, I want to celebrate the fact that everybody hear me. Ethan failed Calc 1 and still landed an internship. And internships after freshman year are rare to find. But you had a legit, go connect with them on LinkedIn. You had a legit internship. It was at a civil engineering firm, right?
It was.
Okay. In downtown, overlooking the Bengals Stadium.
Yep.
And don't throw either of us any shade about our Bengals, right? So, how did you land that internship? Like, how many internships as a freshman do you remember how many you applied to or how
I
many?
do. I
Okay.
do. So, ironically, I spoke to the Introduction to Civil Engineering course this semester about my experience of my internship experience of how I
Yeah.
went through it, because I had a very difficult internship experience of finding one. The running joke is you want someone who's 20 but has 25 years of experience. So it's harder to get internships when you have no experience. And
Yep.
a lot of companies that I applied to over here, because I went to the job fair, I marketed myself. A lot of them had a problem with me not being a resident here. So
Of the
then,
state of Illinois.
yes.
Interesting.
Because I'd have to provide for housing, which means they might have to pay me more. They might have to provide housing. It's an extra step for them.
Okay.
So I applied to 25 companies total over the course of 5 months. I was a candidate for the final four of one company, but they decided to go someone who was older than me and lived here. No shade to them.
Yeah,
It's
I
their
would say
choice.
that makes sense, right? That's a business.
Yeah.
I always say we have to meet our business decisions when we're business
Yeah.
owners.
And then I applied to 24, and then over New Year, I was in Gatlinburg with my closest friends, and I was like, all right, I haven't gotten anything. I'm gonna apply to one last one and just, see what happens. If not, I can go work back at Kings Island and I'll figure it
Yeah.
out from there. But I'm gonna apply to one last one and just pray. And I got an interview a couple weeks later, and I got a job offer at the end of that interview, and I took it right away.
I love it. So I think, I always say high school internships are out there when you know how to find them. They're also hard to get, but it's really hard to get these freshman internships. But one of the key differences is like I mean, we're going to play this, I think, in November, December, but we are mid-October. So mid-October, you had landed your post sophomore college year internship. And it's an earlier timeline. You go back to school and you start applying to internships right away when you're in college if you want to get them. If you're in high school, that internship application season really is like January to March. And so I love that you just kept going. So this year, how many did you apply to?
I applied to 14.
Okay.
However, I spoke to all of them at the job fair, and I didn't necessarily apply to all of them. Some of them reached out to me, which is
Okay.
something that's extremely different. Just the freshman to sophomore
Yeah.
leap is something that is crazy, and I didn't expect, because when you're a freshman, you're trying to sell yourself. You're trying to say, you should come hire me. Even though I'm younger, I'm more developed. I can be developed. I have a bunch of energy. I can do all these things that these people can't. And then this year, it was more these companies are trying to sell themselves to me. So
Mm,
now I have the choice of going wherever I want to go. Because
I
last year
love it.
I took the first opportunity that came across my door.
Right.
This year, I got to choose, where did I want to go? How much do I want to get paid? Even though that's not important, because it's more about the experience.
Yeah.
I had an experience of, just for practice, of I pitted companies against each other and said, this one's offering me 25. Can you match it? And they did.
So you're making $25 an hour
Yep.
as an intern, engineering intern, summer after sophomore year. That's fantastic. That's great.
Yes. And with the experiences, I got an offer 2 days after the job fair. So our job fair was mid-September, and an
Yep.
offer 2 days after that from a company up in Chicago,
Okay.
or I guess Lombard, Illinois, since Illinoisans they don't like when you call the suburb Chicago. But
Oh, okay. I did not know
yeah,
this. You've
yeah,
learned this.
yeah. So I've gotten yelled at a couple times for that. So I got an offer up there, and they're an amazing company with amazing people. But then I kept interviewing, because not only was it I wanted more opportunities, I think it's good practice to just keep
Yeah.
talking.
Okay. That's a
I
great piece of advice. Like, I hope everybody hears that. Like, you didn't just keep interviewing because you were looking for a different job. You're like, this is great practice for the real thing, right? That's
Right,
another real world experience. Like, you're going to be better for that. I have a question. This year, with this difference of like they were courting me or pursuing me, right? Almost like trying to date me. And so, what do you think? Can you point to anything in particular on your resume that you think made you desirable in the eyes of these engineering firms?
it's ironic you say that, because I actually on Tuesday had an interview with a company even after I accepted a job offer, and they knew it. They said they still wanted an interview. It was a small company named WHKS, and the president of that company said, "I loved your resume. I want to talk to you about future opportunities. Not even not for this summer, But for the summer after that, or even post grad, um,
Amazing.
I've spent hours on my resume. It looks pretty. There's a lot of information on there that's useful. It's worded nicely. I've used it, for so many things, and it changes every year because, as you get more experiences,
Yep.
the Kings Islands of the world slowly falls out.
Eventually,
But
I think maybe even Kings Island won't be on your resume after this year.
correct. But I have two resumes, which is something you don't want to do. However, I was told that in my case, it is perfect because I had my general resume with just every experience, all my qualifications, all of, the fun things like that.
Yeah.
And then my second page, WSP actually gave me a template of an engineering sheet or an engineering resume, as they
Yeah.
called it. So on my engineering resume, it was all the types of projects I worked on, what my contribution was, the total number of projects, what states I worked on them in. So it was almost like you got to see two different sides. You got to see,
Yeah.
all right, here's this guy as a whole. Now here's him making this company money.
Well, it's almost like people who are going into the performing arts, right? You've got the general, and then it's like, here's the roles that I've played
Right.
or sung, or, I know nothing about musical theater, so don't send me emails correcting me. It's okay. But it's like here are my performances, right? Or here's what I've directed. So that is so generous of them to give you that. So let's talk about this. Projects that you've worked on. So you've had one of the things I really admire about how you've been handling all this since you were in the course 4 years ago and got clear is you've never stopped gathering those real world experiences and continuing to validate, right? I've seen other kids like they got validation quick, but they didn't keep validating. I always say career development, I did career advising with you for, 8 months or whatever, right? But then career development is lifelong. Career advising, career coaching happens at a point in time. Career development is lifelong. I'm 56, I'm still developing in my career, right? So you're tenacious with going after these other experiences. In addition to these real work experiences, so even your Kings Island stuff, you loved working there. You worked long, grueling hours. You would get promoted. I remember us talking about it. That's an amusement park for our listeners outside of the Cincinnati area. And you loved it. So that taught you a lot of good work skills. Now you've had an internship. What other real world experiences are you doing? Anything on campus? Anything else in addition to the actual jobs?
Yeah. First, I'm actually going to go back to high school because my
Ooh,
experiences started out in high school.
they did.
Mason offers these CAD courses, computer aided design and computer aided manufacturing courses taught by Mr. Elias and Mr. Wiseman, my two favorite teachers of all time. So they taught me essentially what engineering is. Now, Mason started Project Lead the Way, which is an engineering get more focused setting after I left, unfortunately. So I didn't get to
Okay.
experience that. But I took courses of like how to design houses in architectural, like, what's the standard wall size? I got to design a actual bridge that our cross country team used.
Yep.
So I did a lot of hands-on projects where I designed them and built them for the school. And granted, the school also did pay for them, but
Yeah.
then I went out there and built it myself. Because I remember still vividly to this day, 3 years later, standing over the river on building a bridge by myself, looking at my plan sheet saying, well, I thought this was going to be here and it's not. Where did I mess up? So I had that, early experience of just engineering as a whole. And
Yeah.
now at Bradley, I've gotten into American Society of Civil Engineering, which is a civil engineering group around the nation.
Professional
They,
organization.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
And we
And
taught in the course, we teach you how to find out which the ones are for the industry. They're a great way to learn about jobs, by the way. Like if you think you might be an engineer, go look up what Ethan just told you. Do you have a student membership? Do they have a student level membership?
yes, yes. So we have a student chapter at Bradley, and through that we get a student membership, which is free
Awesome.
to the whole organization. And last year I was involved as a concrete canoe team member. So we made a canoe out of concrete and we raced it against, I think it was 14 other schools in Wisconsin last year. where we were judged on the appearance, the sustainability of our canoe. We had to write a technical paper on it, and we had to present, what decisions we made. Last year, our theme was a banana, and our banana split, so we're not doing any of those themes again
That
for
is
the
hilarious.
it's a true story. And this year, I was lucky enough to be one of two captains for the canoe team. So I am currently in the process of designing our canoe, where we're actually, taking concrete cylinders,
Yeah.
crushing them, and seeing the strength. And literally, we're messing with real world materials to see what does this change if we add this microfiber mesh, which is just a little tiny mesh to add reinforcement.
Yeah.
What's it do? So we're actually doing real science where
Yeah.
we're getting this. No one in their right mind should make a canoe out of concrete,
No.
but we're getting this experience that is unparalleled. And ASCE as a whole is so much like your course, where especially what I've been trying to do is helping freshmen practice for interviews. I held an entire session where I said, show me your resume, I'll help critique it, and I will talk to you one on one on, okay, here are my skills. How should I, promote myself to a company?
Okay, so you're a member of a professional organization. You are in a quote, I'm still going to call them extracurriculars. I don't know that we really call them that in college, but you've got a high value extracurricular that relates to the career that you want. You're mentoring younger students. I mean, if that's not on your resume, mentoring other students, you should put it on your resume. Is it on your resume?
I think it is.
Okay, good.
I believe so.
If it's not, get it on there because that's just those soft skills that employers also want, right? I love
Yeah,
it.
especially as an engineering, student,
Yep.
you see a lot of people who don't have good vocal skills or don't have good social skills, which is it's part of the trade. It is what it is. But what helps me stand out is my mother talks so unbelievably much that I've just picked up on, how to talk well.
Okay.
So
She's great. I love your
she is.
mom, and she probably drove you a little crazy at times.
Yep.
But Jody, we love you. But it goes back to like this was a family journey for you guys, and she would in our group Q&A calls us ask as many questions or more than when she was going through them with you and then with your sister. I love your mom, but you're right. That is a byproduct of coming out of your home is you learned how to talk and listen.
And in my opinion, that's just being able to talk and communicate and
Yes.
say, I need help is the first step of being a good engineer. Because you can be an engineer with no talking skills, but you're going to be at the same level your entire
Yeah.
career because you're not going to move up.
Right.
And
I love it.
companies want people who can communicate with each other because projects have issues. That happens with every project. Sometimes a client decides to change something last minute. Sometimes an architect says, let's not do this. Things happen and you have to be able to clearly communicate to,
Collaborate, problem
yeah.
solve, not get angry. Yes.
And that is something how I got my internship last year as a
Yeah.
freshman was I know I don't have experience, but I can talk. I'm good with my words. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not the best at it, but I'm good for an engineer.
Ethan,
That's
I think you're fantastic at it.
Thank you.
And I know you stand out from your peers. Do you have like, so obviously we were doing this together 4 years ago. We're continuing to help 15 to 25-year-olds find their path. For any, I don't know, college student, any high school family with a high school or high school student. We got lots of parents that listen, lots of people who work with teens listen to the podcast. Based on your experiences, which they have been amazing and varied, which is fantastic. What would your parting words of advice be to families?
Take this course. Take Miss Lisa's course because
Uh,
it set me on the right track. But I mean, the biggest piece of advice besides taking the course is the student has to want it. In my experience, you have people who will give up after that first Calc 1, people who will give up after that first rejection letter from a company and that first rejection letter from a college. You just have to
mhm.
keep pushing and saying, I want it. I'm going to get it.
Yeah, because really, most college students would have landed their internship just like you did here in October already. And I remember we were trying to find a time for you and I to record this. And you were like, I have to be responsive to these internship interviews. So I might, Lisa, need to switch it up. I'm like, totally fine, Ethan. That's the first priority. But like last year when you were a freshman, you go into the winter break without one and you didn't stop. You fail Calc 1, you don't go like, well, I can't be an engineer. You keep going. And I absolutely love it. Well, you're inspirational for sure, Ethan. That's why I wanted to have you on. We've learned about engineering. We've learned about choosing colleges. We've learned about resumes, how to land internships, extracurriculars that are available, how to problem solve, how to have great soft skills that employers want. This episode ended up being so much more than I imagined it was going to be, or I think what you even thought of when you said, hey, Lisa, I could talk about math and how I've had to problem solve, like what's going on at Bradley and my own challenges with math. So, Ethan Zellner, thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, and just talking about my experience, helps other people not go through the same boat that I am, because ideally you don't want to be three times better at calculus.
No,
But I've been also sharing my, experiences with younger civil engineering students here at Bradley. So maybe there's a civil engineering student that listens to this and says, well, this guy on a podcast said to do this.
yeah, I love it. Well, I'm gonna, if it's okay, can we put your LinkedIn connection, your LinkedIn profile in the show notes?
Yeah, of course.
So that would be the best way for people to keep in touch with you. And this has been fantastic. So you guys should know, I say to my students all the time, as soon as you build your LinkedIn profile, or even if you're not in our course yet, build your LinkedIn profile. Parents, students connect with me on LinkedIn. Sometimes people connect with me and I give them like a quick little feedback on something they should tweak. And that's how I love to keep in touch. So I will continue rooting for you, Ethan. I know the future is bright.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.